do this anymore.
All right.
I can't take this. But God said I wouldn't put more on you than you can bear. But see, you got to have some faith in order for that thing to work. You may become used to trouble on one level, but when you get hit in another area that you have not become used to, that stuff will mess you up. I'm used to not having money 2 or 3 days before the next payday. But whenever you get paid on one day, the next day everything you have is gone. That's another level of trouble. That's another level of trouble. See, that David he faced trouble on so many levels. He was rejected by his family and by his friends. And he had to deal with the critics. He was a murderer. He was an adulterer. He did a lot of stuff. And that list can go on and on and on about David. But one day, let me tell you, David had to step back and take a look at his family. And he took a look at his children. And he looked at how terrible his children really were. And it actually broke his heart. See, there is no trouble like trouble in your house.
All right.
See, even me, myself, I can go to church every Sunday. And I can have people come to me and tell me their problems and say, Elder, will you please pray with me? And I will pray with them and I will go home and I will still be able to pray with them. But after a certain amount of time, God will bless me to help me to just lay that stuff aside so that I can function and do the things that I need to do. Right? So you can pray for people that you love and say, I believe in God for you, and we really do believe God for them in their situation, but we have got to function and we still got to do what we need to do.
All right.
But when trouble is in your home, you can't run from that. You can't run. So if trouble is in your neighborhood, if you don't like where you live, you can pick up and move.
All right.
But what are you going to do when trouble is inside your house?
Yes. All right.
You can't get away from that, even if you're having trouble on your 9 to 5. Baby, at 5 o'clock, you can clock out, leave it there. You can go home, do what you need to do, pray for strength. And you just deal with it the next day, but you have a way of escape.
Yeah, that's true.
But what do you do when your trouble is coming from your children and not your neighbor's children? What do you do when it's your child that is struggling with drug and alcohol addiction? What do you do when it's your child that is a molester or a rapist? What do you do when it's your child's face on that news that says they done robbed the store?
Come on now.
What do you do? You cannot escape it. You can't get away from that. So what do you do when you yourself have become so successful in every arena of your life, and yet the place you care about the most is failing? See, David was a political figure. He was a man of valor. He was a warrior. He was a nice, fine, good-looking thing. A leader, a king, a lover. He was all of that. But David was a joke when it came to being a father. He was a joke when it came to being a husband. See, some of us right now worried about our children, but I believe if you really study, David got some of us beat. When it comes to our children, but it's something that David has, and it's called faith. See, although David had it going on in some areas of his life, there was an area of life that he had to look at daily, and it let him know that he had to pray. So look at your children, and I'm just saying because we're talking about children, it might not be your children, it might be your husband, it might be your wife, it might be somebody else. But look at that situation and pray. See, because we all have some areas in our life that we face daily. And we have to look at daily. And we need to be praying about that thing daily. You know, some people say you just pray about it and you just leave it alone. No, I'm going to be like that woman that kept going to the judge. I'm going to work God out until he do what I need him to do. I'm going to pray until I see some results. See, there are some things that will make us go into our prayer closet. There were some things that will actually make us fall on our knees and in the face of our Father. But see, even though David was a king, he was led to tears. All right. Not just, let me just say this, now David's a king and he can cry, and some of us, we get so hard we don't want to cry.
Come on now.
But not only did he cry, he prayed.
Yeah.
And he cried. And he prayed some more. And he cried.
All right.
I don't care how successful we are in everything else in our life. We all have one thing that Paul called a thorn in our flesh. And whatever that thorn is in your life, it will help you to know that you need to pray.
Yeah.
Come on.
It will annoy you.
Yes.
It will aggravate you.
Yeah.
It will get on your nerve.
Yeah.
God said, pray.
Yeah.
Pray.
Yeah.
See, there will be times in your life when you cry out to the Lord. I have so many enemies that are against me. But let me help you out. Enemies are not just people. No. Your enemy can be your sickness, because God don't want us to be sick. Enemies can be poverty. Enemy can be depression. Enemy can be suicide, idolization. It can be addiction. It can be anything that is taking your attention off of God. See, trouble is breaking out right now in David's family, everywhere. David's son Amnon raped daughter Tamar. Now, that's some trouble, y'all. And this is one of the first family secrets that David had to live with, because he didn't want to tell nobody. He didn't want anybody to know. But can you imagine being a child living in a house? You got sisters, you got half-sisters, and everybody having sex whenever they want to have sex, and there is no parental control. Mama can't tell you nothing, Dad can't tell you nothing. But there is still no excuse for the sin and the things that were happening in that house.
All right.
So Tamar, she runs and she takes refuge in her other brother's Absalom's home. And Absalom, he is so angry. And he allowed his anger to turn into bitterness about what had happened to his sister. And it stayed in him for 2 years. And let me just pause for the cause real quick to let you know you need to deal with your bitterness. You need to deal with your anger. Because that thing will grow in anger and bitterness. It always comes out. And when it comes out, it's not pretty.
Say that.
It's not pretty. Absalom waited. He waited 2 years to see, is Daddy gonna take care of this? Is Daddy gonna help? Daddy, what you gonna do? Get this to my sister, Daddy, and you just gonna let him walk around like he didn't do nothing? So he waited, and David did nothing. And because David did nothing, that was that father not being a father part right there. He did absolutely nothing. So it allowed Absalom to take things into his own hands. Y'all know how that goes. Oh, if you don't handle it, I handle it myself, AK. I got. You're not gonna do nothing about it? I got this. I got this. So he goes and he kills his brother. Now that's trouble. It's all in the family, y'all. It's called conflict. It's called conflict among relatives. See, Absalom started running from David. He said, I'm going to run from Daddy because I know David mad because I can kill his son. You know, I'm running. And David should have just left him alone. See, now he didn't handle that other situation. Now he want to handle up on the son.
Come on.
So, David was so used to being in control that he could not rest until he got that boy back in his house. Because David was kind of used to getting what he wanted. Remember the lady that was bathing on the top of the roof? You know, he got what he wanted. So I need to let you know that there's a difference between getting what you want and wanting what you get.
All right.
There is a difference between getting what you want and wanting what you actually get. And so David is now in a dilemma. He knew Absalom was the one he was going to make the king. And so he was the kind of man that most men hated. He looked real good. He took the air out of the room. However, in this pretty boy was a very ugly secret. Because he was plotting his father's destruction. He was still mad that his daddy didn't handle the business, that his daddy wasn't doing what a daddy should have done. And David never cleaned it up. He just left that mess. Just left a big mess. So Absalom plotted to get to the heart of people who had complained against the father. Oh, okay. You done made me mad. Let me see who don't like Teresa. Okay, but you know, if you make me king, I'll do what Teresa don't want to do. You know, that's how division comes along. They were sowing bitterness and discord. So he won David's advisor, his right-hand man. So he could not get mad. He couldn't get his dad to get mad over what had happened to his brother. So he said, I'm going to handle this. I'm going to pay you back. So I'm going to get you a right-hand man that knows all your little secrets and everything. So here David is, a leader on the run, running for his life. Running for his life. He was a leader, a mighty man of war, faced in trouble on so many levels, but none greater than the trouble that he had in his own home. And with everything confronting him, rape,